Part two, everybody. Part two of What's the 411. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Of course, it's your girl, Ms Ellie, coming at you on that Monday evening for, that good conversation and that information. You know what I mean? We got the 411 from Sabrina Fala today, a little bit earlier, and she gave us so much information on what she's doing out here as a Canadian rock star, female rock star out here in the game, and then where we could find her, where we could listen to her, some of her tunes, and how we could support her. Of course, she just got signed, getting into the studio because of this crazy pandemic in 2021. So we're excited to, hear what she has coming up in the near future. She's in the studio right now, the home studio, just writing some songs out and getting prepared to put it all out there for us in 2021. So we're excited about that. I'm excited because we've got so much coming up. We've got a lot coming up a lot coming up for the end of the year. There's 5 weeks basically until 2021. 5 weeks. And of course, fall is coming in tomorrow. So today's the last day of summer. We could tell that summer was kind of winding down. It started getting dark a little bit earlier and, all that good stuff. You need a sweater, hence the hoodie, and, just go outside with extra layers on. It's that time, right? It's that time. So we're excited that the weather is changing. We're also probably excited to get out of 2020 and get into 2021. I'm excited for 2021. So of course I am excited to have our Elle. She's going to just talk to us about what she's got going on, and I'm excited. Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I could hear you loud and clear, girl.
Perfect, perfect. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I can't complain. I was just talking about how it's like summer has come to a close. It's done,
Um, no, you know
Almost
what? It's still summertime in my head. You can't take it from me.
right? My
I need
goodness.
I need a little more time. That transition
I'm
happened a little too
telling
quickly
you.
for me.
Like it's crazy how we were home pretty much like, give and take with this pandemic,
hmm
but the summer went by super quick,
Well,
right?
the other thing is that we went from in Toronto, we went from 35-degree weather and oh, it's going to feel like 40 today to the next week being like, oh, low of 8. What? I don't.
Yep.
My clothes aren't even out for that yet. I don't
You know
understand.
what I mean? Right? Like you have to go and pull out those hoodies. That's what I was just saying. I had to pull out the hoodies, pull out the
No.
sweaters.
Although I do have to
Jeez.
say, so because I love Toronto. I travel a lot, but I don't really ever see myself moving. And so I decided this year, I literally spoke to a friend about it yesterday. I'm like, I can't, if I've committed to living here for my life, I can't decide that I'm just going to be miserable for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year. So this year, I'm going to make an actual concerted effort to try and enjoy winter. Like I'm doing all of
Yeah.
the winter things. We're doing the skiing and the tobogganing and the skating
Oh yeah.
and all of it. And I'm going to try and have fun with it this year. I don't
Yeah.
know how successful I'll be because I'm a summertime baby, but I'm
Yeah.
going to try.
You know what? Just go out there and do it, man. It can be
Yeah.
really fun. It can be fun.
Well,
I like
we'll
to
see because
skate.
it
I
can
don't know
also
about
be
all the
very
rest of it.
cold. I don't
It's
know.
true. I can't lie.
I don't
It's true.
know.
It's cool. But here we are. We do only have summer for like what, 2, 3 months of the year, right?
Yeah, it feels like 5 minutes. We have summer for 5 minutes and then we've got to put our coats
Exactly.
and our gloves and our boots on.
Exactly. Exactly. So, well, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself to everybody, let the audience know who you
Sure.
are.
Hey, my name is Elle Mejia. I am, well, I do a lot of things, but I'm a
Yep.
retail leasing professional. So that's just a fancy way of saying that I'm in commercial real estate. I help retailers find their places within the market. So I've actually completed deals on the landlord and the tenant side in Canada, in the US, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Singapore, in South Africa, in New Zealand. It's kind of my passion to help, especially the smaller retailers, find their positioning within the market. I'm also the founder of Pretty Girls Work, which is a platform that produces progressive programming for women who are looking to fill the gaps, whether that's in their career advancement or their entrepreneurial journeys or even in their own personal development. So just another passion project of mine.
Jeez, I mean, you are
Yeah.
global.
You
Good
know
for you.
what? I've taken a step back from being global, I'll admit. Most of the leasing that I do now is in Ontario. It sounds very, very glamorous on paper, but in reality, I can really only tell you what like the airports and the Ubers look like and the shopping centers because I place stores in shopping centers. So I can tell you what the best shopping is in all of those places, but I know nothing else.
Oh gosh, but you're doing it, man. Big up yourself.
I'm
That is
trying.
amazing.
I'm trying.
Yes, good stuff. Good stuff. So, how did you become involved in real estate?
I don't know when it was that I decided to become involved in real estate. I think I just recognized very early on that it was a good vehicle for wealth, for myself and for the people that were around me. And so I started looking into it. I had more of an affinity for the commercial side. I did residential for about 5 minutes. I just had more of an affinity for commercial real estate and for the way that I saw it transforming people's lives, and also because I feel like it's still an area in real estate where people feel like a lot of people feel like it's still inaccessible. So
Mm,
it just kind of called to me that way. So I got involved in real estate in 2011. So I've been doing it for I guess about 9 years, going on 10 years next year. Yeah,
okay.
it's just a passion of mine. I just think it's so important for so many people.
Mm, very, very important. Talk to us about like some misconceptions about real estate because especially in our community, we need to have more real estate under our belts. We need to know more
Yeah.
about real estate.
You know what? I think the biggest thing is just the accessibility portion of it. I think that we've gotten over the hump of like home ownership was a big thing for a very long time. And I think only within the last probably 10 or 15 years that we've seen, especially a lot of young homeowners in our communities, because just making it so that they understand what they're going to need, the metrics that they need to meet to be able to get into that market, and what it means for them financially month to month. And I think a lot of people were used to be surprised that a lot of times your mortgage could be cheaper or the same as the rent that you're paying, and it's just a matter
Hmm.
of the down payment and all the things that come into that. So I think that we've kind of jumped that hurdle by this point, and now I think it's about investment. It's about investing in real estate. And that's something that um, I think a lot of people still think is not as accessible as it is. So being able to handhold the people and being able to show them ways where even if you're like, you don't have to be a millionaire to have an investment property. Landlords aren't all these big giant corporations. Like there are so many landlords that are just like me, that are just like you, who managed to do it. And I think giving people the information to be able to get into the market that way, I think is really the next step for our community.
Awesome. And so, like, what is retail leasing? Because I mean, you mentioned that it's commercial, but what exactly is retail leasing?
So right now, I handle the retail leasing for a major landlord developer. Well, actually, probably the largest landlord developer in the country. So
Oh,
when a retailer wants to come into the market, I got out of brokerage a long time ago. So I don't work as a real estate agent anymore. I'm on the corporate side. But when
okay.
a retailer wants to come onto one of our properties, I negotiate the deals. I figure out, what your net rent's going to be, what your CAM and taxes are going to be, negotiate the finer details of the leases, and pull people in for 5 year leases, 10-year leases, 1 or 2 year leases, depending on the property. If you have a hair store or a salon or a clothing store or anything that you
Right.
want to see, it's just kind of helping retailers to find the right markets for them, and helping my company to find the right retailers for the company, because it is a two-way street. It's a relationship. So we want to make sure that we have retailers that are going to find success and find longevity within our shopping centers. And our retailers want to be in a space where they're able to afford their monthly rent and make the profits that they want to make and grow their business in the way that they want to grow it. So just kind of in a nutshell, there's a lot of, every deal is different, but that's really the
Right.
gist of what it is that I do.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, of course, we want to get into Pretty Girls Work. Talk to us about what birthed that
Pretty
one.
Girls Work. Pretty Girls Work was supposed to be a blog. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
So
really?
commercial real estate is still, especially when you're handling the retail leasing internationally, it is still very much a male dominated sphere. And I was also young when I stepped into that arena. And so I started by looking, I read a lot of self-help books. I talked to a lot of, I watched a lot of videos and talked to a lot of professionals, just trying to figure out how it was that I could really carve a niche for myself and get success within that market. And a lot of, actually, even today, a lot of the self-help books that exist for women in business really teach you to be successful in business despite being a woman. And it was a difficult thing for me to balance because it was like all of this advice, like, oh, make sure when you go into a meeting, you know, wear dark colors, put your hair back and like wear your hair back. Speak in a lower tone of voice when you're, because that's what resonates more when you're in a meeting. Those were all actual line by line pieces of advice that I was getting from these books and from these courses, and that's what I was implementing in my business. And I did find success that way, but I ended up also being very unhappy. And something that I used to enjoy doing, I just didn't enjoy doing anymore because I wasn't doing it as myself, if that makes sense. I just didn't feel like me. And my personality and my aesthetic happens to be very stereotypically feminine, and having to stifle who you are in order to get success in your field just started to grate on my spirit after a while. So I started Pretty Girls Work as a blog because I wanted to start interviewing women, because I just saw so many examples of women who were killing it in business and who were doing it in floral prints and who were doing it with weave down to their waists and who were doing it in sky high stilettos. And you know, if she can do it, then, you know, I've always been of the opinion, community over competition. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Tell me everything you do. I want to learn everything you do so that I can implement it too. So that's how Pretty Girls Work started, was me trying to interview women for this blog to get advice, kind of selfishly, about how I could navigate my way and get success in the field that I had chosen, but doing it as myself. And it just kind of grew from there. I think that it was messaging that really appealed to a lot of women. It definitely didn't start off as me saying, this is how you do it. It was more, let's figure it out together. But it just really kind of grew into this community where we were able to start hosting workshops on different facets of women's business. We were able to put together different initiatives and different projects, and even build one-on-one relationships where I've been able to help women with their definition, like develop what their definition of success is and what that looks like to them and what are the steps that they're going to need to take to be able to achieve them. I think that it was really, really empowering for me. And now it's just really great to see that message empowering other women, not just in my circle, but as the community grows, like just seeing it happen for women in my city, in my province, in my country. It's been a really, really kind of a wild ride. I don't know how we got to where we are, but here we are.
Well, that's amazing. And you just mentioned like community over competition, and that's
Yes.
huge in
Oh my
Toronto
goodness.
itself.
Yeah.
Like, talk about it a bit. Talk about how important that is as women, you
I
know?
mean, I think especially as women, I don't know what I would do without my group of girlfriends. Everyone, I mean, none of us work in the same industry. All of us are badasses at what we do. And just to have a community of women who champion each other, and because it's not easy, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're running your own business, it can get really lonely. If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you can be surrounded by people and loved ones who don't understand, don't get it, try to give you really practical advice about why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing and why you should just go and get a 9 to 5. Like, you get a lot of that information all of the time. And sometimes it's just really great to fall back on a community of women who maybe they don't understand what it is that you're trying to do, but they understand the drive and they understand the ambition and they don't question it. And so I think having that community around you, I'm so fortunate that I haven't had any experiences with the cattiness that you hear about a lot with women in business, or these things that you read about. I haven't experienced that. And my personal life as well as my professional life really started jumping leaps and bounds when I started embracing being able to go to the women that were in my life and be vulnerable and talk about not just your successes, but man, this is what I'm dealing with this week, or waking up and really not feeling like it. Because sometimes you wake up and you really just don't feel like it, and you need someone to get on the phone with you and be like, girl, get up, let's go. So I just think it's everything. I think it's everything. I think you waste a lot of time. I think you waste a lot of energy being competitive when you can really kind of build a fortress around yourself with women who are just like you. I think that a lot of like, and even if you're just doing it selfishly, your money goes up when you surround yourself with women that are of that caliber as well. So I don't know why, more women don't do it.
100%. You're speaking all the facts, all the facts. Oh my gosh. So, talk to us about Pretty Girls Work. Like, what are you guys working on right now? What do you have coming up?
Oh, I mean, this year has been a trip. We had a full calendar of events for you guys in January. Now it's September. That didn't work out too well. But what this pandemic really has done is shifted us a lot into virtual programming. So we held our first virtual live program, our anti-racism summit. That was a huge success. We were doing our On the Menu series where we had women cooking and talking about, I think the issue that what we were talking about was handling being an ambitious woman in a romantic relationship. We really try to tailor our programming to what the women in our community want to hear and want to discuss. So a lot of our programming now is virtual, which has opened it up to nationwide, globally, being able to listen to different speakers and have workshops hosted by people around the globe that are specialists in their fields. We have the PGW Real Estate Collective that's going to be launching in the next couple of weeks that's specifically geared towards women in real estate and empowering women in real estate. We have PGW Publishing. Actually, oh my goodness, where is it? I think it's upstairs somewhere. Oh, PGW Publishing, where we have women who are publishing their first book. So I literally just today got like, I'm not going to show you everything, but got like one of the copies of the books of one of the authors, one of the women in the PGW community who's going to be re-releasing her novel within the next couple of weeks, and another woman who's releasing a self-help book through PGW Publishing. We have the PGW podcast network that's growing. I have the This Girl Sells Real Estate podcast that I host myself. We're releasing a Pretty Bossy podcast for boss chicks and wannabe boss chicks that's hosted by myself and Tashika Gomes from the Virago. We have Diamond Inspires, who's going to be coming out with her own podcast where she's going to be having important conversations about self-esteem and authenticity for women in business as well. Lindsay Tompkins, who's become such a great friend of the PGW family as well, who's going to be coming onto our advisory board and who's going to be launching her podcast with the PGW podcast network as well. I feel like every time someone asks me that question, because of the women that are in this community, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a laundry list. Let me let you know.
Yeah.
So the best
Yeah.
thing to do is just to jump on the Pretty Girls Work website. We've got mastermind groups, and we're still a small enough community that you can reach out to us and tell us what it is that you want to see for us to be able to create programming around it, which is still really, really cool to me that a woman can come to me and say, hey, like the mastermind groups literally came about because a woman came to me and said, I would really love an accountability group of other women who are founders, like female founders and entrepreneurs that we can bounce ideas off once a month. Okay, cool. Let's make that work. Let's create that. So it's just, I love this family that we've built for ourselves and all of the projects that are coming down the line. So that's all that I could think of off the top of my head, but jump on the website and there's so much more.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's a huge community of individuals who, that's what we need to see out here. Like, we need to see more of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely. And I wish I could take credit for it, but it really is like this momentum is really driven by the women in the Pretty Girls Work community. It's not me anymore. Like it used to be me a few years ago. It used to be me doing the events and me doing the workshops and me doing all of this. Now it's just like I literally want, like, I'm so impressed sometimes. Like I go to a Pretty Girls Work event and I'm like, you guys this is great. I had no, like, I'm hands off and it's fantastic. It's amazing.
wow, it honestly is amazing. Women working together in our community is super important. So,
Mhm.
like, what does that mean to you, like,
It means
as an
everything.
individual?
It means
Yeah.
everything. Not even just working together, but community is not just, and in the Pretty Girls Work family, where it's not all business. We talk a lot about money. We talk a lot about careers. We talk a lot about entrepreneurship, but it really is about being able to be vulnerable with the things that come along with being what I call a power performer. It's there's a lot of down that comes with that, so that you can and I think that exists so that you can appreciate the ups, but I think being able to have women that you can talk to, like really talk to, and talk to
Right.
about the ugly side of what you're dealing with. Talk to them about the meeting that didn't go well, the pitch that didn't land, the
Right.
the workshop that nobody signed up for, the book that nobody bought, the like just being able to have those discussions and not be in it by yourself is huge. I talked a lot in one of our workshops. I was talking to the women about panic attacks because that was something that I all of a sudden started having to deal with a few years ago. And
Mm.
I, mind you, I've only ever had like two or three, but I recognized that it was because I had decided a long time ago that everything I do by myself. And so it was just impossible for me, not even only to ask for help, but I was surrounded by women who were constantly with all of our events and all of our workshops saying, do you need any help? Do you need me to? Like literally calling me on the way to the event. Do you need me to pick anything up? No, thanks. Like it was just default for me. I got it. Don't worry about it. Just show up. I just want to see your beautiful faces. It was killing me. Accept the help, like accept
Mm.
the support, and it made such a huge difference in not just my business, but just my mental health, my emotional health, and it made me enjoy everything that much more because you relinquish a little bit of control. You get to see the magic that everyone can create around you. You get to really like delve into the experience and enjoy the experience as opposed to like I would have events go by where it was like 4 hours and it would end and I would just be my feeling would be I'm so glad that's over. Not that it didn't go well, but just because of the anxiety and the stress that came with it. Like I love the
Right.
fact that when workshops end now or our virtual events end now and it wraps, my feeling isn't, oh, what a relief it's over. My feeling is that like I think that was really powerful. I think that was really engaging. Like I really enjoyed the way that went. And I think
Mm.
that the big difference for me was being able to relinquish that control and really kind of fall into that community because especially within our community and especially with the women in our community, be having to be strong all the time and having to be kind of on all the time and not and having that hard exterior is celebrated so much that I think that people don't recognize the power that comes in just being vulnerable and
Right.
what you can create with that when you fall into that vulnerability and that was something that took me a very long time to learn. I'm very much a control freak and I didn't like letting go of the reins of a lot of things, but it works so much better this way. It really
Yeah.
does.
Mm. That's awesome and super important for people to
Mhm.
remember, when we're working as even just in regular daily life. Sometimes we want to control things that we need to kind of, release and allow others
Mhm.
to help out with. So that's
And
really
some
key.
things are just not that important to have control over. Like I wouldn't let people set out the cutlery at my events because I
Mm-hmm.
thought that I could do it better. Does it matter? It doesn't matter what it looks like on the table. People aren't showing up to see what the forks look like on the table. They're showing up for the content. They're showing up for the experience. And I'm here worrying 20 minutes before an event about, like what the plates look like and how the food is set up. There are people for that. Like there are people around to help for that. And
Yeah.
relying on that help is not a weakness at all.
Yes. Yeah, well, we gotta definitely shout out Esther, who's in the building. She speaks super highly about you. She's always
Oh,
talking
my
about how
Esther,
you
my
are,
sister.
yeah, you
I love
are,
her so
you're
much.
definitely, you are doing the thing out here. She's like, you are, you're
She
leading the
is. Oh my
masses, right?
goodness, she is. Her Instagram every morning. I'm like, listen, like on those days when you wake up and you're like, I don't feel like it. I'm just gonna Netflix today. I'm just gonna watch a little Real Housewives of Johannesburg. And then you read a quote from Esther's Instagram and you're like, well, damn, I guess I'll get up now.
Yes, and one thing that she told me about was the experience that she had with you guys when she went away with I think the Pretty Girl 14.
Acapulco, yeah. So we had
Yes.
our master retreat in Acapulco in February. We were supposed to go to Costa Rica next year, but I'm sorry, guys. We'll figure it out. But no, but Acapulco was amazing. So we had a master retreat. I think it was 4 days, 3 nights. We had a
Yeah.
fantastic group of women where it was not just, again, not just business. We talked about business. We actually spent time individually speaking with every woman about her business and her business goals, and getting like almost like a, I guess, the initiation of the mastermind group, and getting ideas and action points together for the women who had plans and had goals that they wanted to achieve. But it was also just a lot it was just a lot about the the burden that gets put on you a lot of the time, and people not understanding you. And I think that's one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs have to go through if they don't happen to be lucky enough to come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like I come from a very strong immigrant background. My parents are fantastic, hit the jackpot with my parents, but they are very much successful by immigrant standards. There are too many master's degrees in my family to count. Education is a very, very big deal in my family. And it's the 9 to 5. You get a good job and you work at that job for 35 years. And so, you know what I mean? Like that is the path. And
Right.
they don't understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. They're very worried for me. You know, where's the stability? Where's the security? And I think it took a
Yeah.
long time for them to be like, oh, okay, you know, this works. But and I think that's one of the things that you need that community for. And that's one of the things that Acapulco did, was bring a group of women together. Not everyone that knew each other, but by the end of the week, it's family. It's family
Right.
because it's a group of like-minded women who, even from across different industries, it's the same mindset, it's the same ambition, it's the same desire to decide what success is going to look like for you, because it doesn't look the same for everyone. Like what I
Right.
consider success, what my metric is for success may not be what your metric is for success. It doesn't mean that you're not successful and I am. It just means that we're doing things differently. And what you want for your
Right.
life is different than what I want for my life. I focus a lot on dollars in the bank. Like that's I like it's just, and it sounds really, really, really shallow and materialistic to say. I focus on dollars. To me that means freedom. To me that means I have a 9-year-old son. I never ever ever want to tell him no for something because I can't do it. If he hears no from me, it's going to be because I decided he should hear no, not because
Right.
I cannot afford to do it for him. And that was something that I knew when I was pregnant. Like it's just, there are different things that click for different people, and
Right.
being able to be around women who can support that for you. Like Acapulco was amazing. I can't wait till we can actually get out of it. We did it in February in the middle of winter because everyone, like I already told you, I need a vacation in the middle of winter. I can't do this winter thing all the time. So we'll put it in the middle of winter for all of our East Coasters and all of our Canadian girls again, and get out somewhere nice and hot, and redo the experience, because it was magic. It was powerful.
Yes, yes, she's always talking about that time. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely know it must have been epic because, and it sounds like a good time. Definitely. Um, so talk to us. I mean, you have a son, so that obviously,
Mm-hmm.
as a mother, must keep you motivated,
Oh
to
yeah.
keep going every day. But what else like inspires you to keep moving?
You know what? I am my father's child. I am super competitive, crazy, more competitive than people even realize. Like the conversations that happen in my head, whew. And I think that that's a motivating factor to me. I always, like, it literally, if I won $100 million in the lottery tomorrow, I'd be like, now how do I turn that into more money? Like I'm always like, I want to, what's next? What's next? What's next? And so I think that, and I think I'm pretty sure I was just born like that because I remember being like that since I was a child. I literally remember, this must have been, we were living in Scar, so this would have been in like the 5th grade. And remember when you used to do those like the science fair, and you had those like
Yeah.
tri-board projects
Yeah.
thing that you had to decorate? And I remember
Mhm.
working on it for weeks and bringing it in, and it was the day before the science fair, and everyone was setting up their boards in the gym, and there was a girl, I still remember her name, Jillian. She's on my Instagram still. And she came in, and her board, I knew her board was better than mine. I knew her project was better than mine. Didn't I take my whole project home and spend the entire night doing a whole new project to bring in the next morning for the science fair, because I can't come in second. I can't do it. It's not something I can do. So that part of me, I just don't, it's just always been in me, and my father's very much the same way. And so I think that I just get it from him. Um,
Mhm.
but creating options is a big deal to me. Options for myself, options for my family, options for my son. I just think that money gives you access to rooms that, like, and it's sorry to say that maybe that shouldn't be the case, but it is the case, and so I'm playing by the rules. Money gives you access to rooms that you can't get into without the right dollar amount. It
True.
lets you sit at tables that you wouldn't be invited to. It gives you access to conversations with people that you might not have had access to. And so I just, to me, it's just bigger and better all the time. Like, always strive for bigger, always strive for better. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, because I'd like to think that I'm very, very happy with the way that my life is right now, but I'm not stopping.
Right. Right. No, you got to keep going. That's the right
Yeah.
ambition to have. It's the right mindset to
I
have, man.
mean,
You got to.
it's the right mindset to have for me, but for another woman, it might be, you know what, I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with what I have, and her definition of success is going to be to pull back and let all of that stuff run by itself, and
Right.
just, you know what I mean. It's just, it really is whatever works for you, and it only needs to make sense to you. It doesn't need to
Right.
make sense to every. It probably won't make sense to anybody else. If it's a great idea, people are probably going to look at you crazy. Because if they don't look at you crazy, then it's probably not, like, someone's probably done it already.
100%. Yeah, I love your open-mindedness because honestly, you do have to look at life like that. Not everything is for everybody, and it's not always going to
Hmm.
look the same for everybody. So that's super important
Exactly.
to always remember. Yeah, for sure. Um, so like, of course, this pandemic pretty much, threw us, a curveball for
Yeah.
2020, but like, how have you been dealing with the changes or
You
how have you
know
been
what?
pivoting?
Knock on wood, I can't really. There are people who are going through a lot right
Yeah,
now, who've been going through a lot the last few months. I'm blessed that my work wasn't affected. I'm blessed that, my, not that it wasn't affected. It got super, super busy. I'm dealing with tenants who need rent deferrals and abatements, and
right,
making sure that we provide them with the support that they need. And I'm so grateful to work for a company that really stepped up to make sure that we were empowered with the information and the resources to help these tenants get through this time. Um, but for me personally, it really was just about pivoting the programming for Pretty Girls Work. Primarily, it was just about pivoting the programming. We had a calendar for the entire year of 2020 where we were supposed to be doing 2 events per month, and all of our events were live. We had never done a virtual event before, so pivoting into virtual events was scary. I didn't know how it would work. I didn't have that experience. And now, ironically, even after this whole thing is over, I think that we'll probably still lean towards the virtual events, just because it just makes it so much more accessible. We have access
right.
that we wouldn't have access to if we needed to get them on a plane and get them in a room at a certain time. And we have access to an audience that's now more global, because they don't have to be in Toronto to be able to attend an event. And so, even after this is over, I think that the pivot that we've made, we're probably going to stick with. But I am just, I think I'm just really, really lucky. I'm really, really blessed. I try to stay short of calling this pandemic. It's certainly not a blessing in disguise for a lot of people. But I think that in every situation, you can kind of look at what the silver linings are. And for me, it's really just been being forced to slow down and being forced to look at things more creatively. I've I've loved seeing the creativity that comes up on my timeline all the time, with, because I do follow a lot of women-led businesses who have had to do the same thing in pivot, and just seeing the, like, people are creative. People are so creative, and people have, it's like you put any problem in front of anyone and they're going to figure it out. So it's like, I think that for me, that's been my silver lining, is kind of watching that process, not just with me, but with other female led founders that I follow on social media, and that I'm friends with in my life.
Wow. Super important. You talk about figuring it out. Like, that's just what we got to do. And right now, like, this
Yeah.
has never happened in our lifetime. So this is
No.
also new for everybody.
Literally
Yeah, we have
nobody
to
knows
learn.
what's going on.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like, what is going on? We don't know. We have no clue, right? So what about like family life, like with your son? Is he in school? Like, how are you dealing with
Oh,
that?
this guy behind me right now, this guy,
Hey.
he is in school. He started last week. He is, I don't get it. I loved school when I was in school. This kid, like, literally, he was like, I hate school. He does well academically. He has friends. What's the problem? Why is life so hard in the fifth grade? I don't get it. But yeah, no, he's back at school. He's back at school. Cross fingers that everything works out okay. I think that the teachers are really doing their best, and administration is really doing their best, but nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's crazy time for all of us, but also a big learning experience as well.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
it
We
is.
have to
It
learn
is.
from this. Yeah,
I mean, I there are a lot of lessons from this downtime that I'm definitely going to try when everything ramps back up and gets back to normal, so to speak. There's a lot that I don't want to get back to normal.
for
So,
real. So what are like some of the things that you've learned about yourself during this time?
sorry.
Like,
Oh
what are
no,
some of the
baby.
things that you've
Okay.
learned?
Sorry. Go
What are
ahead.
some of that's okay. What are some of like the things that you've learned about yourself, about your business during this time, like being at home a little bit more, you know?
I mean, I think that it gave me the time to really lean into my business a lot. And so I've reclaimed a lot of the joy that I had when I started, when it was just a blog and it was just me at 10:30 at night, like writing little blog articles and Googling women that I wanted to interview. So I've reclaimed a lot of that. And I think that for myself, I think that I really just kind of learned what I enjoy about my work because
Mm-hmm.
especially with my real estate work, it really just kind of screeched to a halt and we went into fix it mode. And so there were a lot of months that were spent really not doing what I'm used to doing in real estate and really just kind of helping put out fires for people and for our retailers. And even in doing that, because I always thought for me it was the deals. I love it. Like the rush that you get with a done deal is still second to none to me. And I thought that that was always my motivating factor. That's what I enjoyed the most. And in a period of time when there weren't a lot of deals being done, but I was still able to make impact, like create impact in people's lives by helping them to get through. The bigger retailers, they have their insulation in place. But a lot of our retailers are independent retailers. They're mom and pop shops. They're family owned businesses, and I realize that the joy that I have from helping them is probably greater than the joy that I get from a done deal and a check.
Mm. Yeah, this was definitely a good time to learn all of our skills, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you are juggling a lot. You are juggling motherhood. You've got,
Mm-hmm.
your 9-year-old boy. You've got Pretty Girls Work. You
Mm-hmm.
have retail leasing. Like, how do you handle it all?
You know
Give
what?
us
You do it.
keys and the tips.
I also have a furniture store. I also have a
Oh my
jewelry
gosh.
store. I also
I
like
love it.
it's and I think that I feel like it's an answer that you get from moms a lot when you're like, how do you do it? I don't have a
True.
choice. You get up and you do it. But
Yeah.
I really think that it's just about believing that you can do it. Like I think that if you just get up and you start, you get up and you go, you don't give it too much thought and try and figure out, how it's going to work. Or I try not to get stuck. I don't get stuck in the planning stage. I dive head first into whatever it is that I'm doing, right or wrong. But I think I think starting and just kind of pulling the trigger and going for it. I think that has a lot to do with what success you'll get, because you end up with a lot of failures too, but
Right.
it's a numbers game, right? Like generally speaking, it's like, oh, I forget who it was, the baseball player where they're always talking about. He leads in home runs, but he also leads in strikeouts because it's a
Mm,
numbers game. Like you can't get one without the other.
true.
So for me, it's just starting. It's just going. It's like deciding that you're not, instead of thinking about it and thinking about how you're going to get it done, get up and get it done.
Just get it done. All
Yeah.
right. Well, you definitely got to let us know yes. Yes, Queen, you're a trendsetter. Definitely.
Oh,
I'm
thank
over
you,
here
love.
taking notes. Like, I'm like, damn, Ellie, you got to get up and get it done tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? But tell us, like, what Pretty Girls Work has coming up. Like, do you guys have any workshops coming up that we could jump on and support?
I'm sorry, I have to show you this. When you talk about juggling everything, this is my son writing me a note saying, "When will you be done?" Is what he's saying. So I'm being rushed on my end.
Oh, it's all
What
good.
is coming up for Pretty Girls Work? So the podcasts are the big thing right now. So stay tuned to the website in the next week or two. We're going to be launching two more podcasts in addition to the This Girl Sells Real Estate podcast that's already been running for a couple of months now. And the women that are on that podcast, I'm excited for the conversations that I'm having with Tashika with Women on Pretty Bossy. I'm so excited to hear the conversations that Sherry San Giorgio is going to have, Diamond Inspires is going to have on her podcast. I just think that amplifying women's voices in that way and in that medium is going to be so new for me personally, definitely new for Pretty Girls Work. And I think it's just a different vehicle to be able to hear a lot about different women's experiences, because the women in the Pretty Girls Work family do definitely come from very different backgrounds, very different experiences, have very different mindsets. And so having access to all of that, I think it's I mean, it serves me. I love it myself personally. So I just imagine that other women will get a lot from it as well. So if you're going to tune into anything in the next couple of weeks with Pretty Girls Work, pay attention to the podcast.
Okay, we definitely will. We definitely will. And so is there like a motivational quote or any inspirational advice that you would like to share with the audience tonight?
Inspiration. You know what? I don't know the quote by heart. I should know the quote by heart. Michelle Obama talks about having been in like just influential spaces, like powerful rooms with powerful men. And she was asked the question about how she doesn't, how do you not get intimidated when you're in those spaces and surrounded by all of these like brilliant people when you're sitting at that table? And she talks about being at like almost every powerful table that you can think of, like being at the G summits and serving on corporate boards and working in different corporations and being at the table with these, you know, prestigious and powerful, brilliant men. And she said that the one thing that she has learned by being at those tables is that a lot of them aren't that smart, and a lot of them aren't smarter than her. And so I try and say that to myself because I find that I set goals for myself that always feel I feel like if you're going to set a goal for yourself, it should feel scary. And if it's not, if it doesn't feel a little bit intimidating, it's probably not a big enough goal. So I tend to set goals for myself that are above my head. And so I find myself a lot in rooms where it can be easy to feel intimidated, and sitting at tables where it can be easy to feel intimidated. And so I repeat that in my head, like look around. A lot of them aren't smarter than you. A lot of them aren't that smart. Just because they have the title and just because they have the power and just because they have the prestige, they don't have what I have. I know what I bring to the table, and I'm confident in what I bring to the table. And as long as I keep that in my head, because I think it's easy to lose yourself in someone's title because they come in and it says, and their title, their business card says president. I can make a business card that says president too. Like, it doesn't mean anything. What do you bring to the table? And so I think that for me, it helps me in situations where I feel smaller than who I know I am.
Wow. Powerful, powerful stuff.
She's a
So
powerful,
Elle,
powerful woman here.
yes, she definitely is, and she's got a lot of good quotes as well. I haven't read her book yet, but I heard that it's full of some amazing
Oh
stuff.
my gosh. Read the
Yeah.
book and then watch the Netflix series and then listen to
Yes.
her podcast.
Yes, right?
I've only listened to the first episode of her podcast, but her first episode she was interviewing Barack Obama. So I was like, okay, well, I mean,
Mm,
this is royalty. Listen, listen.
right? Geez, so how can we keep in touch with you?
I'm easy to find. I'm so easy to find. I'm on Instagram. Elle does real estate. Pretty Girls Work is on Instagram. Pretty Girls Work Inc. Jump on the website. Shoot me a message. Send me an email. Like I'm honestly the easiest person to find. I'm not. I respond to everything. If my phone goes off at 3 in the morning, I will look at it and I will respond. It's just who I am as a person. I can't help it. So
Mhm.
yeah, no, definitely. And especially if you are a woman in business, and it doesn't have to be my business and it doesn't have to be real estate and it literally doesn't have to be anything. If you are a woman in business or trying to be in business or trying to start something up and you need advice or you need someone to talk to, bounce ideas off of, or just like a quick, you know, like like a quick pep talk before you go into that. Like I'm your girl. I'm if you're a woman in business, I'm your biggest cheerleader, even if I haven't met you yet. So please reach out. I love those conversations. They're my favorite conversations to have.
Well, you are definitely you're leading out here. I just want to thank you for jumping on. You gave us so much powerful information tonight.
Oh,
And I love your energy. I love your positive attitude, your everything, your aura.
thank
It's all
you.
good. And it is definitely all good. And then of course, Pretty Girls Work is doing major things out here. you are also doing major things out here, pivoting in all these different avenues. We probably don't even have a clue as to what you really got going on out there. I'm sure it's a lot more than what you, you are telling us about. But you are doing amazing. Keep setting those goals
Thank
high
you.
and you're doing your thing, girl. So
And
I
you
just want to thank
and
you.
your platform, I want to thank you as well because I think that having platforms where you're amplifying women's voices, particularly women in our community, and the work that they're doing, and making sure that other women who don't realize that they have the capacity to do the same have access to that information and access to those resources is huge, especially right now. Like, especially right now, what we need to be doing is making sure that everyone has a platform to talk about what it is that they're doing so that everyone has an opportunity to learn from what everyone else is doing. Like, it's so important. It's something that everyone, billionaires still do it. They'll read the books
Right.
and they'll listen to the podcast and they'll like never stop learning, and you providing an avenue for women to do that is huge as well. So I definitely want to thank you for that, and thank you for inviting me onto your platform today.
No problem. It was my pleasure and honor to have you on the show. Trust me. I've been taking some notes. So, you know, I will set a nice blog out about you tomorrow. And I also have a website. So I'm starting to add everybody that I interview onto the website and then just do a little, bio on them, a little
That's how Pretty
synopsis.
Girls Work started. See, 5 years from now, you're going to be like, what happened? How did it get so big?
Yes, well, you know what? I'm looking forward to whatever it has coming up for me. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to
But
be
yeah.
magic. I think it's going to be great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And yeah, so we'll definitely keep in touch. I'll be reaching
Absolutely.
out to you for a couple of different things that we have going on. Me and Esther, are doing the virtual summits. So of course
Yes.
we're having another one coming up in November. So
Amazing.
we're definitely going to reach out to you to see if you want to jump on and educate us on
Yes.
the summit coming up in
Absolutely.
November. All right.
Absolutely. I talk all day, so.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, and we'll keep
Thank
in
you.
touch. Have a
Sounds
great night,
good. Have a good
okay?
night.
All right, you too. Okay, bye. Wow, guys, that was great. That was great. Elle definitely is inspiring. She's an inspiration, guys. She's an inspiration, not only in our community, but in like globally. She's out here, she's doing things globally, and we need to, you know, follow, follow that lead. This last 10 days, I was doing the 10-day challenge, and it was about leadership. And so the challenge finished on Saturday, but this interview with Elle right here today is it just kind of brought everything full circle. This is leadership right here. This is leadership. Um, her service is leadership. Her planning, her motivation, her inspiration is leadership. Her attitude, her behavior is leadership. Her like influence is leadership. Like she just is spelling leadership all over. You know what I'm saying? And so we definitely want to look to individuals such as herself on how we can find the inner leader in ourselves, because I feel like everybody is a leader in their own way, right? We're all natural born leaders. So um, Elle is out here. She's inspiring us to do more. She's out here setting goals that are high. So you know what that means. We gotta like, take it up a notch. Set some goals that are high for yourself. Push yourself and just get out there and get it done. And remember that even though you may be sitting at a table with individuals who have a business card that says president or, vice president or CEO, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, they're not bringing what you're bringing to the table. All right, guys. So again, that was awesome. That was great. I want to thank Elle, and you guys got to reach out to her, especially as she mentioned, women in the community. If you are out here, you are running a business, you're thinking of running a business, you need some advice, you need somebody to talk to. She mentioned she's a cheerleader. She's out here. She's rooting for you. You know what I mean? She's got your back, and the best thing is that people are out there cheering for you that you don't even know. right? She may know you and she may not know you, but she's out here and she's rooting for you. So that's some real queen stuff. That's real queendom talk, and it's definitely something that I think we should all, um, all aspire to do and to be for one another in our community. It's super, super, super important. So I love that. I love that. I love the conversation tonight, and I want to thank you guys for jumping on. And thank you, Esther, if you're still in the building, for hooking me up and allowing this conversation to happen, because it was definitely, definitely essential. Definitely. So, thank you guys. Thank you. And I will see you next week, of course, on What's the 411 right here on Instagram. All right. Take care, guys. Have yourself a wonderful week. And don't forget, today is the last day of summer. Tomorrow, fall is officially here. Okay. So it is officially fall tomorrow. What does that mean? We have 5 weeks left until 2021. So we need to wrap it up. What are we doing to better ourselves? What are we doing to make sure that our goals and plans are reached by the end of this year? December is literally right there. Okay. It is like, it's right there. It can't be 5 weeks to the end of the year. No, it can't be. It's got to be more. Like, it can't be 5 weeks. It's got to be more, right? Anyways, I'm gonna look that over again, guys. I'm gonna look that up. But it's not much time, right? October, November, that's 4, 4, 8. There's got to be like 10, 12, there's got to be 15 weeks. Like, what am I saying, 5 weeks? There's got to be like 15 weeks till 2021. So yeah, we've got to figure it out, guys. We got to figure it out. There's always time to there's always time to get those goals and those plans in there. All right. And we did mention that we have the fall summit coming up. November 21st is the day for the fall summit. We're super, super excited about it. Esther and I have, we're working on all the plans. We're working on everything to make this summit a little bit more dynamic than the last one we had, because it was super dynamic, super, super fuego, as my brother would say. But you know what I mean? It was a great time. Everybody had a wonderful time. And this one is just going to be even more inspirational, more motivational, and more informative, just as informative, and even a little bit more, with some different dynamics we have ready for November 21st. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to share with you guys what we have going on. And you will soon see the panel that is going to be a part of the summit. Yes, it's definitely going to be more, definitely. So you guys have yourself a wonderful evening, and thanks again, Esther. We will talk soon. Okay, take care, guys.